Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Here we are, and we have lovely brother Rick Jerwers. Welcome. It's always an honor, pleasure to have you on our Bioactivator platform, brother. Thank you so much for being in our beautiful company today. There are people from all over the world anxious to find out what we're going to discuss today. So the title for our show is Fuel for the Temple, Conscious Nutrition and the Frequencies of GPMS. Brother, I would also like to take this opportunity, Brother Rick, to it's a real privilege to introduce you to the circle of the Raw Vegan Fruitarian Healing, founded by Paula Maria Rosalia, and my energy is rooted on being one of a few of the administrative role for this platform, and really privileged to rub shoulders with, just to name drop some of the admin soul warriors, Eileen Habib, if you're watching, thank you, Luke Scott, and Michael Angel, which I've had the privilege of interviewing twice on our show. So much love to you guys. And we have approximately 343.6 thousand subscribers on this platform. And the way it's going at the moment, Brother Rick, I think we will definitely hit close, if not above 500,000 by Christmas. But before I hand the mic to you, bruv, because I'd like for you to introduce yourself. I just noted a few important notes that I wanted to make sure I cover. So I'd like to talk to our beloved souls. Welcome to this very special conversation tonight. We bridge two powerful currents: the healing wisdom of conscious nutrition and the transformative vision of GPMS, which stands for the Global People's Monetary System. We are honored to introduce Brother Rick Jerwers, the founder of GPMS, a living initiative that restores humanity into sovereignty, abundance, and natural law. Together, we will explore how the food we choose shapes not only health, but our frequency, our presence, and our alignment with truth. And how GPMS, or should I say, and how the GPMS vision aligns perfectly with this. A living model of abundance, unity, and freedom. With that, let us open this space of remembrance, healing, and activation. Brother, it's a real honor. For our beautiful viewers, brother, just introduce yourself fairly briefly, but I'm not dictating what through to your heart. Tell us about yourself and about GPMS. Thank you, brother.
Well, thank you so much, Barrett, for having me on again. I always love when we do our interviews and the important topics that we touch on. And tonight is not unlike that at all. And the important topic of tonight, and of course, the important growing group that you are a part of, that is in alignment with everything we're doing. And I need to say, I love your introduction for your shows again. I love watching that. That is perfect. And, and you're welcome, brother. And just a little bit about, let's say around 2011, I changed, if you will, from being just human to a divine humanoid. And part of that great change, then what occurred was learning so many things that were important for this great time, of which one included the diet, which is very important. And also, up until that time, I used to eat meat and bird and what have you. But around that time, I also had to transition to being vegetarian. And vegetarian is very important to this now. And anyone that has heard the term awakening or ascension, it is very important for them to transition to vegetarian. So thank you for having me here, brother. And
Thank you,
any
brother.
questions
Yeah,
you have?
I took the opportunity to put together some juicy questions on the topic of fuel for the temple. I will repeat the question a few times if need be. Brother Rick, many say you are what you eat. How do you see conscious nutrition, especially raw and plant-based living, as part of aligning with natural law and preparing the body as a vessel of light? So I'll repeat that question. How do you see conscious nutrition, especially raw and plant-based living, as part of aligning with natural law and preparing the body as a vessel of light, brother?
Well, thank you so much, Barrett. This is a very important question. And let's say, without getting very detailed on it, let's begin with the importance of looking at raw vegetables and fruits. They are typically alive until the moment that you consume them, which is important because they contain photonic light. There is the difference with, of course, if you eat meat or bird, it is death. So if you wish to just look at what you are doing, what you are actually eating, if you eat meat or bird, it's been dead. But if you eat, let's say, vegetables and fruits, of course, the fruits as you eat them are still alive with the photonic light. And vegetables, if you cook them, well, then you lose a lot of that value very quickly. But with the raw vegetables, yes, it's very important. And with how it aligns with natural law, if you will, well, natural law is a pure essence and energetics that is not distorted. Distorted not in the ways that, or not distorted in the ways that it would be that it would be negative to your overall energy. Now I'm searching for the words to get into a better explanation of what you are asking her. So when we basically look at nature, if you will, it is perfect in its design, as we know, and it functions typically harmonically unless it is interfered with. And so it's quite what I'm finding with your question, it's quite a bridge to bring both things together in a nice fluid show. But nevertheless, there is the importance in that. I kind of got strayed away from your question, brother, to try to answer it fully.
No, you've more or less answered. Yeah, and I was
I
going to just,
believe, yeah, but I believe, yeah, what you're saying, the more natural and raw your diet is, like with vegetables and the photonic light, it
yeah,
places your energetics into a higher resonance
yeah,
with the higher truth and the higher reality. Everything is energy, and of course, energy resides on the different
yeah,
frequencies, and it dictates what occurs in your reality, but in all reality as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, no, I mean, because you kind of like cross-referencing live foods, like because if it doesn't get disturbed, which you can damage the electrolytes as such, if you because people can cook it, overcook it, and you're damaging all the goodness, if you will. So that's what I find as well. I mean, occasionally I have a little bit of cooked something next to it, but I know when, especially with fruits, with the energy is slow releasing the sugar, shall I say, and I feel very much empowered by that. So no, thank you for that, brother. So we just touched on, we're talking about the fuel for the topic, but now on to the topic of frequencies, which we were talking a bit about frequencies of food, because every food carries a frequency, like we were just saying. In GPMS, you speak of raising humanity's vibration through alignment with truth and sovereignty. How does our choice of food amplify or diminish that vibration? I can repeat that, brother. So basically, what we're saying that every food carries a frequency. In GPMS, you speak of raising humanity's vibration through alignment with truth and sovereignty. How does our choice of food amplify or diminish food, or should I say, amplify or diminish that vibration? So if we're putting the wrong type of fuels in our body, it's going to anchor us down rather than. But don't let me answer what I feel is. I got
Yeah,
carried.
there's so many integral parts of
Right.
this, what you just asked. So, because everything is interconnected, and to begin to even answer that question and to give it
Yeah.
as much justice as possible, let's begin with what you said. Yes, it is important what we eat. Now, when we can look at when you're bringing produce, organic produce, of course, out of a garden, and it may be a pristine garden with no fertilizers, no phosphates, nitrates, and other harmful chemicals. Yet you may think that that is a pristine environment your garden is in. However, there are still the important factors to look at, what actually as minerals that goes into the plants when you grow it. For example, if you're close to a silver mine, or if you're close to any type of mining, there can be cross contamination of, let's say, arsenic, sulfates, silver, toxic metals that also can get in. If we look at, let's say, celery, which is one of the most optimal raw foods, if you will. But when we look at that, all of the minerals, they accumulate in the bottom part of it, the base. And it is very healthy to eat the bottom of the stalk, if you will, of celery, providing it's been grown in a pristine environment. So it's very wise to always look at the location where things are grown as well, especially even if it says it's organic. If you don't wish to overdo it, but you should be a little bit more meticulous with this. And the reason I'm mentioning about the metals, because in this great time, things from prior to 2012, the old ways of doing things, that's all evolving. It's all new now. The old things do not apply to these physical vessels of anyone that is awakening and that is familiar with the ascension. And one of the main factors with that, you need to be very meticulous of what metals and heavy metals you may be putting into your body from cross contamination, because the body is an energetic vessel in the least. And when you have such metals like silver or gold, they are conductors. And if you are getting small parts of those throughout your body as well, it begins to create a flux and a chaotic flux in your overall energy, which then diminishes your frequency and your vibration. So, what was the question again, if you may,
Yes.
so I go on
Yeah.
another important route?
Yeah, no, that's perfect, bro.
Thank
I was just
you.
every food carries a frequency. In GPMS, you speak of raising humanity's vibration through alignment with truth and sovereignty. How does our choice of food amplify or diminish the vibration? And you touched on some very powerful areas there, because here in Austria, I have a very close brother who, on the outskirts of Vienna, he he has an organic, they call it biofarm, and now majority of his clients, they're very wealthy. I find that a lot of people who know, they don't buy anything in the supermarkets. Typically the rich, they have a tendency. I just followed the pattern because I did a bit of research in this area. They go to these farms. They look at how everything is produced. They sample it. They see if they've got a chemistry with the producers, that what you touched on in terms of, like, they're not using harsh chemicals that's going to adversely affect the quality of your produce. And obviously there's a premium attached to that, and for the very rich, that's what they do. They know that, sadly, for it's difficult sometimes to find good quality products in the supermarket. So that's what I found. A lot of people to have a tendency, who've got money, that's what they do. But the less privileged, maybe they have a different way of sourcing, or I think ultimately, brother, if you can produce it yourself, that's even better. Wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. And when I do this is where we're at now. And when I fan it out, this up here is divine GPMS.world, the reality, what we are creating now, if you will. So we're right here. And this new world, the heaven on earth,
Yeah.
it depends on vibration and frequency. And this is why back down here, it's so important what we do here. And part of that is what you have, again, in your diets, because it affects your electromagnetic field. And what you wish to do is have this electromagnetic field optimal. And you do this with being very meticulous with what you put in your body, as you're saying. And again, the raw vegetarian diet is the optimal to do that. It is the most healthy, and it is the most in alignment with advancing your physical vessel. What I need to say, also, the pH level of your foods is so important as well, to raise the vibration. And it needs to be to acclimatize to the new reality that we are creating. And it is not by chance that more and more of the world is becoming vegetarian every day. And if you were to go back 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there were very few vegetarians. But if you look today compared to then, the increase is perhaps 30% or even more, which is, I'll take Canada as an example because a few or several years ago, I had to look at that gauge and that statistics just as a micro example of what was occurring in the world. So the vegetarian diet, yes, is very important. And also, if you wish to look at the new world that we're going into, that is harmonious, no killing, no fear, no hate, or any of these things. Part of that means leaving go of killing animals, if you will. And an important aspect of this, all animals have souls. And you once you are awakening, you begin to realize this, that you could be a cannibal, if you will, because you're eating another soul, and you don't wish to do that because the energetics involved also, and in the DNA, when you eat another animal, you are actually cannibalistic to the degree that you're consuming unconditional love is one important factor that is in there. But not only that, in an animal, you are eating the fear instincts as well. And also, where the animal has died, if you will, you are also eating death. And when you say you are what you eat, well, you can eat life, raw vegetables and fruit, or you can eat death. But this is very important because, yes, you are what you eat. And that is true. And in the GPMS, divine GPMS dot world, this is a more civilized, not savage world. And a lot of this is happening organic, like being a vegetarian, because everything has to be prepared here for this new world we are approaching that works on a much different dynamics and of course energetics.
Yeah, beautifully said, brother. Thank you for that. On to the topic of breaking the old paradigm. GPMS is about moving beyond scarcity and dependency. In the same way, raw and fruitarian lifestyles move us beyond toxic systems of processed and synthetic food. Do you see a parallel between leaving the old financial system and leaving the old food system? I'm happy to repeat this.
No, that's fine, brother. I see with this also, this is occurring organically, but also as a result of more being conscientious of what is occurring in this time on earth. We are in the most unprecedented time that humanity has ever known. Again, we are creating this new world, and to once again bridge the gap with that, I'll need you to repeat your question, please, so I can get back on track.
You want me to read? Yeah, shall I read from start to finish? Why not? So GPMS is about moving beyond scarcity and dependency. In the same way, raw and fruitarian lifestyles move us beyond toxic systems of processed synthetic food. Do you see a parallel between leaving the old financial system and leaving the old food system?
Well, definitely that is yes. both is occurring at once. The old capitalistic system, chemicals and what have you, and the way that food is grown and even processed, it's also falling away as the healthier, at least diet is emerging. Um, and what I need to say with the new world again, that we are creating in this new world of divine GPMS.world, money no longer becomes a factor of hindrance. It is in a full abundance, meaning that with all of the foods, everyone knows that, let's say, most of the food worldwide is contaminated, and all of the let's say bad practices as well. But having said this, where money becomes not a tool of hindrance with divine GPMS.world, what you do is you have everyone that is first, without making this so extensive, there is a lot of technology to clean up the soil, to clean up the water on Earth. And that is so important as well when you begin to look at the chain of where the food begins, where the seed begins to grow, and that full chain of what is introduced and how it could get contaminated. So let me just say, in this new world, all of the technology and water purification systems are here, which grows the optimal food. And of course, it's not like this world you have today with many foods that are contaminated. But without, I know again what is occurring to connect divine GPMS world to the food. Really, divine GPMS.world supports all of the good food and all of it being grown, if you will. And so it's kind of difficult for I to fully bridge the gap that's in your question. Both are important, and let's say divine GPMS.world provides the ultimate environment to produce all of the clean, best food. It gives all of those. It supports it fully. Yeah. I'll stop there. Thank you.
I've just said we just have a little break. I was just going to say to our beautiful viewers out there, over a year ago, I put together a video. It's about a minute long, and it's about GPMS. To our beautiful viewers out there, please ignore the website at the end, because that we have altered that, and I will be sharing and have shared the new website address. So at the end, please ignore the old website. But please sit back, and it's about a minute long, so we'll just have a little break.
Imagine a world where every person is a shareholder of Earth's resources, where poverty and debt no longer exist. The Global People's Monetary System, or GPMS, is a new vision for humanity. It aims to replace the current economic system with a global model based on abundance and equality. With GPMS, every person has the right to a free home, endless access to money, and the freedom to live without the burdens of taxes, debt, and wage slavery. To make this vision a reality, GPMS is calling on people worldwide to unite, give their consent, and become a part of the change. Join the movement today and help create a world of prosperity for all. Visit gpms.world to learn more and give your consent.
So, like I said, sorry about the address, the web address. That's been altered now, and the correct one I have shared with our beautiful viewers. So, yeah, on to the next question, if I may. There's two more. If the body is a temple, then Earth is our shared temple. How do you envision GPMS and conscious nutrition working together to restore balance, not only in humans, but in nature, the soil, and the greater planetary field? I shall repeat this one. So we're talking about temple and the global temple, if you will. If the body is a temple, the earth is our shared temple. How do you envision GPMS and conscious nutrition working together to restore balance, not only in humans, but in nature, the soil, and the greater planetary field?
Well, that's quite a again a gap to bridge, because there's so many steps involved into this. So again, I'm looking that consciousness, yes, has to be raised, of course, to get to divine GPMS.world, the heaven on earth, and again, what we eat is very important to raise the consciousness by raising the vibration uh, of each other, if you will, or of yourself. Yes, it gets reflected into the overall energetic environment of Gaia, Earth herself, and by doing this, as if you will, the individual human souls, the more cleaned up that they get in their energetics and their vessels, it is reflected directly into Earth as well. For example, when an individual vibration raises, also does their consciousness, and with that, they become more aware of how important it is to keep the environment clean. So then what you have is that chain reaction that you begin to see the result on Earth, if you will. You could see someone going out and just picking up garbage on the side of the road. As they become more aware, they'll do it themselves, because they know of the devastating impact it has on Gaia, on Earth. Just to keep a simple example.
Yeah.
So yes, with the food you eat, it raises the consciousness, and what that does then, it changes the environment as a whole, and it takes humanity out of this present savage primitive consciousness into the let's say super consciousness, and let's say also the great awareness, but also the civility. Humanity today is savage, and they're savage to the respect that they allow a capitalistic system of control, enslavement, and intoxication to occur. They allow that to happen when the majority of the people already know it's wrong. And this is where it's savage to condone it by supporting it and not yet creating the full new. But of course, this is a transitioning that is occurring. And again, as the consciousness awakens higher and higher by best practices with one's own energetic field and their temple, then it does get created much quicker. And that is occurring. It is.
Yeah. No, thank you, brother. And more on a personal, if you know, more on a personal level, brother. What have you personally discovered in your own journey about food? something that you may want to share, frequency and fuel for the temple, as we were talking about, and how do you see individuals best preparing themselves for the new reality which GPMS is bringing forward? So do you feel that more and more people should come into alliance? Do you think that, like the great days of people had allotments and, shared responsibility, and as far as, people are gathering around and working with land to grow certain things? Or do you feel with what GPMS is actually doing is once the if you want to expand more, because I don't want to take over the answers to the question. This is something presented to you from your perspective. Um, if you can just give something that comes from your heart. But I shall repeat because I did rumble on a little bit. So, on a personal level, what have you discovered in your own journey about food, frequency, and fuel for the temple? And how do you see individuals best preparing themselves for the new reality, which GPMS is very much in the forefront, if you will?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And once again, knowledge is power, and being aware is where it begins. And then to gather the knowledge for myself, I was shown directly and given most everything from God, if you will. God is very real. And having said this, your water, what you drink, it's very important. Also, the pH level of your water and your foods are very important. Humanity also needs to realize that your physical vessel is evolving internally. Things are not the same as a human body of prior to 2012. Um, your bodies have changed. And what this means, the old anatomy and the way things worked, especially at the most molecular level with biochemistry, it does no longer works the same for those that are awake. And there is a difference with those that are, let's say, awake and in alignment with ascension, because that is their divine direction at a soul level, to begin to have the more new knowledge of what's occurring and what's required for these physical vessels to evolve into this new world that we are creating. And during that process, everything you drink and everything you eat is one of the important key factors to this, along with number two, what we call doing your inner work and your mastery of fear. So these two things go hand in hand. And yes, your vessel, your temple, is very important to take care of and do your best. But we also recognize that there is the individualization and that there is the customized, let's say, instructions for each. And one of the reasons for that, each one is unique in certain ways, and what may work for one at one time may not work for another. Because in this evolution, what has been occurring more prominently since 2012, you have many different levels of advancement. For example, you may have someone that awakened in 2012. Their physical vessel internally has undergone a lot of restructuring with how it works. And this is very true. And you can, with the viewers, they can ask anyone that it has been gone through the awakening and ascension, the symptoms, and all of the things that mimic every disease in the book, yet ones will run to doctors and they'll find nothing is wrong because actually everything is changing internally, and there is nothing wrong to diagnose if you're having pain, because it is happening naturally inside, and it will not produce anything like a cancer or any of that. You won't find anything wrong, and actually everything will be working correct. And a very important thing to bring with this, again, when the entire anatomy of your humanoid vessel is changing, your circulatory system, your heart and the blood and the way that flows in the vessel is so important, and it does change your blood pressure, changes the rates of your beat of your heart. Your heart also, the physical heart is also changing internally, the way that it operates and the way that it pumps and with the rhythms of it. And another common thing with that is with ones during the ascension, they'll get what you can call flutters or palpitations, because the heart is regulating and changing to be able to pump the blood at a certain speed, because there's a crystalline component in it to increase the electromagnetic field of the individual, to also prepare it for more reconstruction in alignment with this ascension. So everything is energy, and to reside in a higher frequency energy, it all begins with you. And of course, the diet and your actions, your deeds, your demeanor, all of this is so important.
Yeah, we just had a wonderful soul brother. His name is Tony. He says he's you, brother Rick, well aligned with the new vibration of the new age. So that was very positive feedback from Tony. Thanks, Tony, for that. But you're also, brother, you're familiar with the breatharian movement. Do you know anything about breatharian movement and how that coincides with the GPMS movement? Do you think as our DNAs are being upgraded, do you think that we're going into the fields of how we communicate more telepathically and reference to the amount we're consuming? Do you think we're going to consume less and work more with sun gazing and, working with the photons of the sun energy more?
Well, let me say, the humanoid vessel is undergoing great change and great evolution. And the way the humanoid vessel works now, how it gets its energy for your movements, if you will, it required the old human vessel to eat food, to burn, to provide energy, if you will, to keep this so simple. But with the breatharian, once you are consciously knowledgeable about breatharian, if you will, and that you can actually, all you need is the air. Water is still important. So you actually need water and air to be most efficient, to continue to evolve your body, because you're talking with your cells, you're communicating with them on an energetic level, that yes, you can be a breatharian, and it does require the development and the work. But what I will say, this is where we're going. And when you said we will be eating less in the future, yes, because the humanoid vessels are evolving, that the old primitive way of creating energy in the vessel is transitioning to a higher, more efficient way. And actually, with these humanoid physical vessels, all you need is the air you breathe and good, clean water. You need to realize that the water, or that the physical vessel, is still 70% water, and water is a base element of creation. So you don't wish to avoid that. You typically need it. But what I will also say, with some higher developed breatharians, they are able to extract the humidity, enough of it, out of the air, and also retain it in their physical vessels, that they don't require as much water as what a normal or a developing humanoid vessel would need as well. But yes, you do not need to eat. And when you look at this, what is said, if you will, I'll say the Bible, because there are many good clues and hints in the Bible. But yes, it's been manipulated. But the trick is to know what are the truths in there. And one of the truths, that is mentioned is that the lion, which is a predator, will lay down with the lamb. And what this actually means is that the lion will no longer eat the lamb, and it will not need to,
Yes.
because you're in this different reality where you do not need to eat food to survive. So you have that existence. And it is very real. This is not a theoretic or theory, if you will. Science is already, with science itself, is also beginning to understand not only the possibility of this, but the plausibility too, as we go forward. So it is very real. Yeah. But I got rambling, brother. Thank
No,
you.
we appreciate it's good high frequency information. I was going to say, I mean, we can wrap it up slowly but surely, but a little bit something on that sits very dear to my heart is intermittent fasting. I don't know if it's something that you practice yourself, brother Rick, but I do leave a window, a gap of, let's say, 16 hours, and that does me wonders for my personal anatomy. Do you know a great deal about the significance and importance of fasting, brother Rick? Should that be yeah?
Definitely. Yeah. Fasting is optimal, and it's so important. And as you're saying, with intermittent fasting, typically just eating once a day, and also with extended fasting with just water. Water is always an important part of a fast, unless sometimes one might be instructed to do a different customized fast that may exclude everything, but very rarely, because the water is constantly detoxing and cleaning the body out when you are fasting from not eating food. And again, with this, it does raise the vibration very quickly. One reason why it does, typically after the third day when you're fasting, your hunger will begin to go away. And one of the reasons the hunger begins to go away is that the enzymes in the humanoid vessel that are created, that activates feeling hungry, and the acids, they are no longer there. So once you master about 3 days, then you really do not feel hungry any longer, because these acids are no longer there, and they have been flushed out, and the body does not produce these acids. So then, by not producing these acids, the actual pH of the physical vessel raises. And again, the pH level of the physical vessel is so important as well at amplifying your energy and being more conscientious with the effects it has on your energy, and also navigating and controlling and mastering your energy and becoming more aware of how it works and how to use it as a good tool and how to expand it. So the pH level, yes, of the body and the fasting is so important. And I do it when I'm instructed to do it with this vessel, but it raises your vibration, it raises your clarity. It's so beneficial
Yeah.
overall to the physical vessel.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Rick. And just
So,
to because you mentioned water, and two things that came to my mind, and I noted it down. First of all, one is structured water. Um, I feel this is my intuitive and connection and my own personal practices with structured. I find the best structured water is juicing, if it's like watermelon juice or, but when you saying water, we're not just talking about fluids. You're talking about pure, clean water, which is very difficult, Brother Rick, sometimes to source. Now, how does distilled water sit with you?
distilled water, what I suggest for that, any that's going into a detox, if you will, or
Okay.
any that's just awakening, it's very good to have distilled water for, let's say, uh, a couple weeks or a month or perhaps longer. Again, it depends upon the individual,
Yeah.
because what the distilled water does, it is a great detox as well when you're beginning to detox and your entire vessel to advance your entire vessel forward. Distilled water, yes, is very good. And I suggest don't take it any longer, perhaps, than 2 months. But again, it depends upon the individual, and trust what you're feeling when it's time to transition then to good, pure alkaline water. And yes, your water is so important. The pH level of your water, always keep it alkaline. 7.5 up to about 9 is a good range, because that also keeps the vessel clean of the acids. The acids are so important to begin to eliminate in the vessel, because the way that acids actually work, they work with negative molecules and ions, which is in contrast to where we're going with a more positive flow with how things work, without me going deep into molecular biology and even chemistry with that. But it's important to
And
keep basics in mind.
yeah, just to end it on this beautiful subject, 'cause I'm enjoying this subject of particularly about water as well, because water, as we know, has consciousness. And how about like a prayer, so that if you're in that mode of being graceful and being thankful, and you say nice things to the water, you can surely change or raise the overall frequency. But obviously pH is different. But when the water is appreciated and valued, you're raising every aspect of, on a molecular level as well. You're raising the actual vibration. So if I may, how important is being thankful and being in that position of gracefulness and prayer before you consume anything? Do you think that has an important impact on digestion and everything else that goes with it?
Oh, always it does. As a conscious co-creator, the more powerful you become as that, your
Yeah.
conscious thought and intent towards something has more and more of an impact. So it is very important, and at least to one of the things I normally do, especially if I prepare something to eat myself, I'll bless it, if you will. And
Mm.
and the water as well. Yes, because it does, at least it does something. And again, you also still need to employ the practicalities of ensuring you're not drinking chlorinated water. So you want to keep your water source as clear, to begin with. So you don't want to take chlorinated water and say, no, I'm going to change this, because that doesn't work. That is the truth. And if it did work, then no one would need to worry about what type of water you drink or what food that you eat. So that is still important, to be very observant and meticulous with what water that you have in front of you. Now,
Yeah.
with structured water and with all the different purification of the technologies and the modifications that are out there, for example, with one of the, and of course, there's more advanced technology available beyond this, but the ultra blue light and what that actually does to water. It can take sewage water, if you will, and almost purify it, that you can drink it after going through such a stage. I would say no, don't, because of so many different, let's say, toxins and things that it still may not clear. But let me just say, as an example, that and there is higher purification technology beyond that. But just to say, to structure, yes, these do work. One thing about what I suggest is, do not put your water in copper vessels any longer if you are awakened. And one of the reasons for this, copper is also a heavy metal. It's in that range, and it begins to be toxic for you. So what I suggest for one's glass, keep your water in glass. I have plastic bottles here for water, but I do not recommend that at all. It's just in my current situation, I do not have glass bottles. And of course, with glass or with plastic bottles, as they begin to decompose, they give off PCBs and other contaminants. So what I do is, typically they put on plastic bottles. You can refill them maybe about 3 times, but there's other practices. You want to keep them out of the sunlight, what I do. So I'm meticulous with these, but glass is the best to keep your water in. And also, if you're able to cook with glass, the old things that used to be good, like cooking with a cast iron fire or frying pan, because that was good. It would put iron in the body. But these sort of principles no longer apply, because you are awakening and you are cleaning excess minerals and metals out of your body. And by eating from copper pots or cast iron, and of course no aluminum,
Yeah.
because you always have that toxic exposure to it.
Thank you, bro. I mean, we touched on prayer. What about this word meditation? I mean, because do you think this aspect of meditation is important? Because I have a practice with the old Hawaiian Ho'oponopono. I think you're familiar with that one, aren't you, Brother Rick? Or do you think that whatever helps you and it's positive, there's no this particular model or that model? If it's helped raise your vibration, then it's a positive modality, I guess.
It always does something. Yes. Yeah. The intent is genuine. So it does have the good effect, to whatever extents that may be. Totally agree. But also, we're still, as I said, in this reality that that yes, prayer works. It is miraculous, yet we still have to make certain preservations here with our practices. Yet we're not all the way home into the miraculous world, but we are creating that world by our changing our practices and being more astute and more aware in what we are consciously doing. And
Yeah.
prayer, yes, it all of these things does assist.
Yeah, no,
So you wish to lead us in a little prayer, brother, for the water, or what is your intentions?
My intention, you know, I wherever I go, the impression, you know, one is impeccable in as far as the intention is of the highest, not to cause. It is embedded in the ethos of GPMS is not to cause harm or loss or impose, and understand and walk the universal natural law, which you're not going against the grain, you're not going against nature, which
In
is
harmony, yes, with
absolutely.
nature.
So people and animals and every being organism can feel the harmonics of your purity, your intention, and it's to raise the frequency, not to lower it. That's, and I've been very privileged to share space with you, brother, and to all our beautiful viewers, because I don't know whether it's in our 2-3 years that I've been privy to connect with your divine energy, brother, and you've had a very powerful impact in being a game changer for me personally, and has helped this platform as well. And you know, we're very honored to have you on our show and to introduce you to the Paula's platform, the Raw Vegan Fruitarian Healing, because I genuinely believe it complements the two, and we're just honored and very, very excited. So I thank you so much. We've got one more comment coming here from Tony. He's just saying that as with the ancients, there is a 24-year preparation to enter the celestial temple. We have walked the left-hand path since 2012, and now we embark onto the right-hand path. 2036 is when we will enter the celestial temple and the real teachings will begin. Now, obviously, you have a different stance to that, brother Rick, because when we talked about this on numerous occasions, you've said that we're kind of aiming for the end of the possibility for the end of this year, but it can happen anytime. Do you want to add, because Tony's on a different interpretation. He has a very astrological. I've interviewed Tony before, so he's got this astrological approach to things. Things are kind of mapped out. Whereas, tell me a little bit more about the GPMS and your understanding on what he's saying and what you're putting forward.
Well, you know, let me say everyone has got that direction forward with their beliefs. There's different prescribed timelines. But the thing is, there's many unknown factors and variables that create the duration of when we get from here to the level that Tony mentions. But you also, what he is speaking about, if you will, is the celestial, perhaps full crystalline light form body as well. Now, what I need to say with divine GPMS.world, that is, closer than this. It can occur at any time, which is also a foundation for what Tony is speaking about. So we need to get humanity from where they are here to GPMS.world. And this is in a stabilized fifth dimensional frequency as an advanced civilization. And this is we're currently in that phase of the process now. And from that fifth, see, it also depends what Tony is speaking about. All humanoid souls are not alike, what is here. Now, let's say in the overall scheme of things, there is per se not a hierarchy. However, when we're going through the levels, that there is a hierarchy, meaning that some souls in their humanoid vessel, they go to 5D proportions, but they continue quickly 6, 7, if you will, advancing the vessel, while others will stay in the fifth dimensional playground for a while. And this is why you get different perspectives and conceptions with what is occurring. All of them are correct in the sense that they give that direction and alignment forward, but also they can mean different things. Every belief and every message is not just what it looks like at face value. It's layered with many levels. And because there are many factors with a belief system, things can be omitted and extracted in the blink of an eye, because everything is possible. And when you're dealing with the alignment of energy, it's when you can skip steps and, like a solar flash. We are in a solar flash, if you will, but there can be a definite flash and a shift in the overall reality.
Beautiful, brother. Well, it's been an absolute joy, brother, having you on our show, and we look forward to converging with your beautiful energy in the foreseeable future. But just just for our viewers, do you want to end it on a particular note? Do you want to have the last say to our beautiful viewers? Is there something that you want to share?
Yeah, what I'll quickly say, I'm so impressed and I'm so grateful when I see, especially a group as large as this, focused on vegetarian and the health and all of that. And I am grateful because I see the emergence towards the divine GPMS world. When you speak of numbers like it's in this group that you said, this is huge.
Yes.
And it's going in the right direction and it's instrumental. But not only that, it's indicative of how close we are to the divine GPMS world. So yes, the two does go hand in hand, and they go hand in hand with it, just to keep it simple without I ramble. So I'm very grateful, and I suggest for everyone watching to simply know about divine GPMS world. We are ratifying the new world into law and into place, which means you can physically see it happening as the consents grow. Once we have the majority of the human souls on earth, it becomes law, and you have all of your abundance and everything that it gives, and it's real. This is the thing. You have many fantasies, new age concepts and ideas that are out there that is not taking shape and form. They remain in the dream state. With divine GPMS world, it is anchored here into this reality. It is the real thing, and it is the vehicle that takes you fully into the new age, the heaven on earth. So that's what I wish to share. Everyone, consent, all of your children. I need to say that children, all of their voices, their consents. If a child's 1 minute old, their guardian, their parent can consent for the child, and The child's vote counts the same as yours or mine. Any adults, it's all included because they need to be included. We're ratifying the new world where the children are the new generation for civilized humanity, and they play an important role. So with that, love, light, and gratitude, and thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Just to end it on what Tony says, I love this guy. I mean, he's a beautiful soul, Tony. I've interviewed him a few times, and his heart is so pure. He understands about energy, vibration, and frequency. And obviously, it's very positive feedback. And yeah, thanks a lot, Tony, for your feedback, and to our beautiful viewers out there. And we appreciate everyone that's listening to the messages of what Brother Rick has been showering us with such divine vibration. Thank you so much, brother. And we look forward to connecting with you in the foreseeable future. And love, light, and gratitude to all our beautiful viewers out there. And thank you very much for showing up. Until we meet again, brother.
You're so welcome, and thank you as well.
Thank you, brother.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and gratitude.